Yo, 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 yo. I don't know what the fuck happened with the intro. I don't know what the fuck happened with the intro, but you know what? We roll with it. We roll with it. What's good? Thank you everybody for checking in. Our school Code Skulls, Cyberfake Cafe, Rachel, Minnie, and me. Nasser, thank you for the follow. Rawad, thank you for the follow. I can't read that. Welcome to the tribe, World of Clam. Everybody that hit the follows, I appreciate you. Hani, what's good? Thank you for the check. And you guys, not only did I fuck up the intro, but this is the start of bringing back the OG podcast again. We're gonna try and figure it out. Dr. Suto, thank you for the follow. I'm gonna fuck up all your names. If you have a strange name, I'm gonna fuck it up. Qais from Rock On, what's good? What's good? Welcome in. Yeah, thank you guys for hanging in here. And this is something that I'm gonna talk to you guys about over on Discord. We're bringing back the podcast, and I think this is a great way to bring it back. We used to do the podcast a couple of years ago. We had incredible people from regional and international scenes on the show talking about their journeys and everything like that. And you know, it's been a nice ride bringing things back since I started streaming about music again. So we're gonna do it again. Ziggy, what's good? Free the nipple. Thank you. I don't know how to respond to that. But here's something we haven't said in a very long time. Hit the intro. Adam, welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Usually, if I was not rusty, I would have gave you a little introduction before we did the introduction. But because I fucked it up and didn't do that, I'll just let you do it. It sounds better coming from the person we're talking to. So just in case anybody in the chat doesn't know you, Adam, introduce yourself to the tribe.
Well, my name is Adam Lebzo. I'm a musician from Jordan. I am the man behind the musical project ORPHIC.
Hell yeah. Very, very concise.
For now.
Yeah. Jordan and metal. What's up, Perfect Drug? Jordan and metal and the whole scene is something that's really, really close to my heart.
Yeah.
I grew up in Jordan, and for the longest time, that metal scene was like all I focused on. That's all I wanted.
All that you knew.
It's all that I knew. But to kick things off, just explain to those that might not know about the Jordanian metal scene before we get into the project itself. Someone said Obeth. Obeth. Thanks, Rach.
I can see it just floating, and I was like, "What's? That's not Obeth. That's Obeth."
That's Obeth. Yeah, exactly. How would you describe the Jordanian metal scene for somebody that's never been to Jordan?
Well, it's one hell of a ride, that's for sure. So, up until very recently, the Jordanian metal scene, being part of the Jordanian metal scene, the easiest way I can put it is just like playing Russian roulette. If you want to perform live, that is, because it was barely legal, and that's putting it mildly. It was basically illegal when they want it to be illegal, legal when it is. So you're playing Russian roulette really here. So if you want to play live, there was almost no way you would get a license to do so. So you were just doing it at your own risk. A lot of people got in trouble with the law doing that. A lot of people got themselves in a huge mess. And generally, it's also a very small metal scene, but knowing it, I know there's huge talents in the Jordanian metal scene. There's a lot of people who have a lot that they want to do, a lot of untapped potential. So it's a beautiful scene, but it's been very difficult until very recently to be active in the scene.
Yeah, I was just gonna say back. I sound like the old guy in the fucking back in my day.
Well, back in my day too. It's only very recently.
Back in my day, bro. I mean, a show was at a fucking either a mazra'a, and for those that don't know, that's just like a because it's not really a farm, but it's like there's people that own farms that have kind of little houses. I don't know. It's like a vacation spot. I don't know how to explain it, but
it's a vacation home in a farm.
Exactly. It's a wholly Jordanian thing. There's no Italians going, I'm going to the Mazra, bro.
Usually that's their house, that's the norm.
Exactly. It's either that or like basements and stuff. Like we never really played a show on a stage in Jordan. So having seen the like resurgence of the Jordanian metal scene and seeing the potential and things like Rock On Fest, which we'll talk about a little later. It's kind of it's exciting.
It's exciting. It's a huge leap forward, honestly. I mean, personally, I took a hiatus from performing live. I think starting from, if I'm not mistaken, 7 years ago, very recently. So up until really this year. Back when I used to perform live around maybe 2000 and not sure 15, 17, around that time where I was active mostly. It was difficult. I mean, we did have a stage, but we knew that we were risking it just to perform live.
Yeah.
And we didn't get the best audio, didn't get almost any video, any kind of. It's just a few people that they would come. Usually, there's barely any security. Things sometimes get hectic. It wasn't the most legible experience, but that's all that we had, and I'm sure you can relate.
Let's talk about the start a little bit, because I moved to Jordan for college, basically for university. I went to NYIT. Well, I signed up in NYIT. I didn't attend anything. is the reality of that. Svenga Boys, thank you so much for the tier 1 sub, you absolute maniac. Sorry, I get distracted with subscribers, but I moved over there, and I felt like there wasn't a metal scene when I arrived, and then I had to bump into someone, and I think it's literally just somebody that was wearing a Slayer t-shirt, and I went, hey!
That's usually how it starts. Hey, hey!
I know you. What's that meme chat? You know, I know, we know the biggest Slayer fan in the world. But that was basically it, and from there I got introduced to more people, and started jamming with a couple of people here and there, and it turned into that. But what was it like for you? When did the scene be a part of your life, specifically in Jordan?
I think, well, I started a number of smaller projects with friends where we just gig and play. But I think when I first foot through the door and I became part of the scene, back when I was the bassist for also another Jordanian band called Eternal Insomnia. Shout out to Qutayba, go listen to their stuff, it's amazing. So I used to be their live bassist, and in the studio I was the bassist and also the keyboardist for some time, only the first album. And we played live a couple of times. I remember we went live with a number of local bands at the time: Terror Tower, Khusuf, Hypomania, Relics of Murters, Exile. I think at some point we went out with them. So I think a couple of shows or 3 shows that I was really engaged in. And during that time also, I would say about 3 or 4 years, I was getting to know people, playing, visiting people, And it didn't last for long, because at some point there was this huge police raid on one concert. I wasn't part of the concert, I wasn't attending, I wasn't playing. But after that, just things went dead silent in the community. And it was a message that the authorities wanted to deliver, that if you consider doing this, these are the consequences. And they were severe, unfortunately, for the people involved. So if I'm not mistaken, for 6, 7, maybe even 8 years, the scene was dead silent. Until, as far as I know, I could be mistaken in terms of who started it first, but I think the first major outbreak and attempt to change the status quo came from the guys in Rock On.
Do you remember what the circumstances were for the police raid? Was it just people playing a show, or was there
if you've been in Jordan, you know the usual suspect or the usual accusation, which is Satanism.
Yeah.
Metal music, Satanism, they go hand in hand. according to a lot of people, at least in the authorities. So for them, this is a Satanist party. We're worshipping Satan. We're playing Satan's music. So someone just called them. They decided to raid, and it turned into a whole public opinion piece. Everyone was talking about it for a couple of days. So usually that's where it happens, because you need a license for any show in Jordan, regardless the genre, regardless what you're playing, the license. And to get a license, you need to disclose what type of music, who are the bands, are they licensed with the syndicate, all of that. And generally speaking, you couldn't get a license for metal music, because when you go to get one, as soon as you tell them metal or rock or anything like that, you're a Satanist. No way. You'll be lucky if you made it out, if you just got out from the mayor's office or the police station without they keeping you there.
Yeah.
But that was the main issue. The negative stereotypes surrounding metal music. And this is what the guys, as far as I understood from them, this is what the guys at Rock On really fought hard to change. It's not just they wanted to start having metal concerts and festivals and all that. That wasn't really the issue. The issue is doing it safely for everyone involved. I think that was the main struggle that they wanted to tackle.
Some of the people in chat remember this, but I've talked about this with Mark Hunter from the band Chimera on stream. I'll tell you the whole story now, but back in the day, there was somebody that wanted to play a show, and like you said, they had to submit a list of the bands that they're going to cover and that kind of stuff. And one of the bands was Lamb of God, and they thought, if I put Lamb of God, that's going to get flagged immediately. They're going to look into it. So what the homie did, what we did was we wrote Lamp of Good instead to deter them from.
Yeah. Just one innocent O.
Yeah, just it's a lamp and it's good. And it flew. They were able to play the show. They just said Lamp of Good, and it turned into a good show. I had Mark Hunter from Chimera on the podcast, and I told him that story, and he found it hilarious. Chat found it hilarious, so we printed Lamp of Good T-shirts in the design of Lamb of God, but it just said Lamp of Good, and I sent Mark one of those T-shirts.
Wow.
Years later, Randy Bly gets sick, and Mark Hunter is asked to spot him for a couple of shows with Lamb of God. Mark Hunter wore Lamp of Good on stage with Lamb of God.
That's an amazing story.
So in a small way, the Jordanian metal issues kind of made it all the way back to
the butterfly effect for you.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite stories to tell. But yeah, the thing about like the scenes in the Middle East in general, in the whole region, is I feel like they're extremes. Like in Dubai, we had mayhem here.
Yeah.
But in Jordan, dudes can't cover songs sometimes, or at least back in the day, because of the stuff that goes on. So it's always very interesting for me to see where everybody's at and how everybody's kind of navigating through these things. When I talked to the guys in Saudi Arabia, a lot of them said the internet was like the savior for them, especially back in the day with MySpace, and especially around the time Dubai Doesn't Rock was happening, a lot of people were sending attendees their songs and stuff like that. Did you see a resurgence in like bands promoting themselves online from Jordan?
Recently, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think this is also one of the things that I tried to focus on when I started ORPHIC, or at least when I debuted ORPHIC, because I didn't just want to put out an album just suddenly out of the blue and that's it. The old mysterious kind of way that a lot of metal bands used to do up until now. They just drop music and just expect it to organically go out there, which, it could happen, but nowadays it's almost impossible for it to work. And I also wanted to promote it. I wanted to do it because in my music, there's stories. Most of my, if not all of my albums, they're all concept albums. So there's a story to tell. And I didn't just want to do that using songs and lyrics and all that. I had artwork, I had videos, I had content, all of that. And just being online, when you look around, you notice that if you want people to listen to you, if you want people to notice you in this congested era where there's just so many options, you have to try to stand out. You have to, or at least you have to try to create a space for yourself.
Stick to the top of my
So that's what I try to do,
rock a
honestly.
microphone.
And I think a lot of
Stick
bands,
to the
I'm not
top
trying
of
to
my
claim that
dome.
I started
Sorry
anything
about that.
here, but also as I was looking around, I noticed a lot of bands were starting to understand recently that they need to have a presence on social media to actually get to people.
Yeah. And sorry about
Hi, thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
the chaos that happens in chat. Kamakose, thank you for checking in. And whoever triggered Askur's Boom Funk MCs, thank you thank you for that. Yeah, there's one of the things that I really, really like is there's a sense of, it's almost like the whole region is one scene, and there's a sense of community that goes on across the Arab region in general. When it comes
Everyone's
to
persecuted, regardless where you are. If you're in Kuwait, if you're in Tunisia, if you're in Saudi, particularly Saudi, at least not recently, but before that, if you're in UAE, anywhere, Egypt, a lot of great Egypt, you're persecuted wherever you are. So we have that in common.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. There's something we skipped over. I don't know how you got into metal.
How I got into,
because there's always that thing, you know, the majority of people might be like, you know, I listened to the Black Album, or I my uncle had an Iron Maiden CD or something like that. But how there's always a little twist to it.
well, as a lot of people my age probably had similar experience, somewhere I listened to Breaking the Habit by Linkin Park, and yeah, things were never the same again. That's not metal, I know, but a lot of people can relate that this is usually the entry point. This is where you start. You hear Chester speaking your soul out, or screaming your soul out, actually, and you're not, yeah, I know that voice somewhere inside. So, and I went down the rabbit hole, and now I'm doing harsh vocals. And, you know.
Yeah, that Linkin Park is a gateway for everybody, I feel. Chat, what was your first introduction to rock or metal? Just type it in the chat. We'll see all the answers. Yeah, mine is a weird one because I grew up in Australia, and Silverchair were a huge band. They popped off all of a sudden, and they were young, so I felt like I was like 8 or 9 or something, and they were like 16. I was like, damn, you could do that? Like, what is that? Why does that guitar sound like that? And why is this dude screaming his head off? And that, because of that, it kind of opened the door. And then I got into, you know, metalcore, new metal, a lot of hardcore.
Things just keep escalating from there.
Exactly.
I think in a matter of 3 or 4 months, I was listening to Amuna Math.
Oh, okay. You just went straight to death metal.
It started with it escalated, but very quickly. So it started with Breaking the Habit. I remember that very clearly, and then everything that Linkin Park put out until that day, and then I think Metallica came in, Iron Maiden, and within a few months, it's Twilight of the Thunder God.
Yepiki says, we know for you it was Creed. Okay. Just because you put underscores, it doesn't mean that Creed is banned in the chat, by the way. I don't know if you know this, Adam. But
no, I don't. I'm sorry if I'm falling behind, but I don't understand the hatred for Creed. It's not that I have an opinion about it. I really don't know why people hate them.
Well, for me, it was something that happened in chat on stream. We just got a lot of Creed requests, and I banned the word, so it turned into a
oh, that's why there was a lot of underscores.
Yeah, it turned into a kind of an inside joke, and they try to sneak it in with K's, as you can see. Some people put double D's. They try to sneak it in so the bot doesn't time them out, but that's.
The thing I was referring to is that there seems to be, just like Nickelback, you know, people hate Nickelback for some reason. Same with Creed, although it seems to be a bigger thing with Creed, but I don't know why. I never bothered to Google it Nobody explained it in front of me. It's just like people hate Creed. I don't know why.
You know, it's just a gut instinct.
You just look at those guys and you know what? I hate you.
I want to see. I want to see what chat said about what got them into metal real quick. We got some Iron Maiden, Linkin Park, then graduated to System of a Down, Behemoth in 1997.
Oh wow!
That you went straight for Behemoth. I got bullied for liking Linkin Park in school. Linkin Park and Black Sabbath. Silverchair is not metal. I mean, yeah, but it got me into it. Mine were Him and Nightwish when I was 11.
Nice.
Marilyn Manson's Rock is Dead on the soundtrack of The Matrix. My favorite movie as a kid. Got Chaz into it. Metallica Creeping Death for Nasser. Michael Jackson led me to Metallica. Yo, actually kind of same. That song with Janet Jackson, Scream, was probably the first time I actually heard distortion guitars in like a guitar solo.
I think Michael Jackson took me to Van Halen.
Oh damn! Okay, because of the guitar solos and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. Like holy hell! But at that point, I was already getting into metal, but it was like, oh my god, that guitar! Who's that? And someone told me Van Halen, and I listened to Eruption, and wow.
Yeah, there's Raoul Croft. What's good? Started with some Norwegian/Swedish black metal.
So you went straight to Satanism.
You're the reason it's banned.
Exactly. If
It's
someone
actually
came
jihad.
to you and asked you like, what are you listening to and what is it all about? Satanism. So
Exactly. All right, Jihad, I got you, bro. Make Satanism great again. Okay, let's not start getting people arrested, you guys. Let's calm down in the chat a little bit. But you mentioned the idea that ORPHIC is very heavily story based. First of all, what does ORPHIC mean?
what does ORPHIC mean? So ORPHIC, if you try to look what it means, you'll probably come across two definitions. The first thing you'll probably see is that it's an adjective and it's connected to Orpheism or the character of Orpheus. So that's the first thing. So it's connected to Orpheus. Orpheus is a figure in Greek mythology. I can talk about it in a minute. Other thing is that ORPHIC is sometimes used to refer to something that is so convoluted, so complex, that it is even difficult to comprehend with our mere senses. So complex, so convoluted, so vague, so mysterious, that even with our full senses, we'll barely be able to scratch the surface of it. So in simple terms, something very mysterious. And I like how it is connected to Orpheus, because I love history, I love mythology of all types. I spent most of my teenage days and young adulthood reading about that. I'm a huge nerd when it comes to that. So, and I love the story of Orpheus, and it actually, in one way or another, is referred to in the first album that we're releasing. And or just to explain who Orpheus is for people who don't know, Orpheus is a figure in Greek mythology. He's a poet, a musician, and a singer like no other. Like, he used to be the best thing at the time. So he became fond of a nymph, a forest nymph called Eurydice. They fell in love, but she got bit by a snake and passed away. Orpheus couldn't handle it. He couldn't accept the fact that she passed away. So he went to the Greek underworld, to the realm of Hades, to retrieve her soul. And he used his voice, he used his music in order to make his way through the guardian of hell and everyone, until he was stopped by Hades and Persephone. So he almost made it to Eurydice. And he played a song for them and sang for them in a way that was so touching that he actually moved them. So Hades decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to let you have her soul. She'll leave with you if you can make it out. I'm summarizing. And he was told that you need to turn back now and make your way up out of the underworld. You can't look behind you. You have to trust that Eurydice will be following you. You look behind, you'll be thrown out of the underworld, and you'll never see her again. She'll be locked here forever. So he starts making his way out. At some point, he thinks he just stepped into the outer world, and out of a bit of doubt and just emotional intensity, he just takes a sneak peek behind, but he's technically still in the underworld, so he get kicked out and she stays behind. And the whole idea of this story usually is to trust the god, don't doubt the god, don't look behind. And this influences the story of the maybe we get to talk about it in detail later on, but there's a hint to this story in the first album that we're releasing, which is called Lantern for the Lost, specifically in track number 4, titled No Orpheus.
Mm-hmm. That's yeah, I saw somebody say that's really fucking interesting. They need to read more about it.
The story of Orpheus is really interesting. There's a lot of characters that you'll get to learn about in Greek mythology. Some are famous, like Hades and Persephone. Others are lesser known characters, but it's usually a nice gateway to more interesting, less known details from Greek mythology.
Ziggy asked, do you know what reading is, Adnan? And that is actually going to be my next point. That is so different. It's so out of my depth. What you just explained, it sounds amazing, but listen,
you don't need to read it. I'm telling it to you.
Yeah, exactly. But we called the show Unmuted because I used to mute the guest by accident, and JM suggested that if you call the whole show Unmuted, you will remember to unmute them. So
actually, I wanted to ask you why it's called Unmuted, and now you've answered.
That's the truth. The cooler answer would be like, because we.
Nobody can mute us.
Yeah, exactly. Because we say what we want, and we're gonna shine light on everything, and nobody can stop us. But honestly, it was because I muted the guests, like the first.
Well, it still hasn't happened to me so far. So you're doing a great job.
Yeah. He still doesn't. No, I don't. It's all good. It's all good.
Well, we have accusations. Someone has put by accident.
Yeah. No, Svenga Boys is an OG here. He's seen some shit. He's seen some stuff. But yeah, so this ties in. You're also an author.
Yes.
So writing, whether it's music or lyrics or anything else, is kind of like hardwired.
Yep, something I like to do, definitely.
Can you tell us a little bit about what kind of stuff do you write? You're a published author.
Oh yes, so my personal books are basically, I have a number of translated works, and I have 2 books at least so far published. There's a third one on the way, but I have books that are just my own writings. What I recently have been writing is what I refer to, or what is known as aphorisms, which is very intense, very summarized. Usually they're 1 line, 2 line, 3 line, like pieces of wisdom, you can call them, or observations or reflections that are very, very short. Something in Arabic very close to khawatir, but it's even shorter. So get to it rather quick.
Yeah.
Real quick story for. So this is one of them. That sold out a few years ago, and this is translated by me. So the idea behind this is that I really like this literary genre, or aphorisms, and I've noticed there's not a lot of works that are translated to Arabic. I know that in many cultures this literary genre exists, but not a lot of the works of so many cultures have been translated to Arabic. So I took it upon myself. I just volunteered to do this, get paid for it or anything. So I basically I read about authors. I bought books from around the world. I got a lot of favors from a lot of people. I traveled. I got a lot of books from different cultures of famous or not so famous authors from different cultures writing this literary genre, different languages. This one focuses on mostly Europe and Asia, I think, for the most part, not a lot of Africa, and also from Northern America. And so you look at this case here, I've commissioned an artist to kind of draw a line sketch of the author, got an introduction for them, and then some of their works translated to Arabic.
Incredible.
I think I have about 23 authors here. That was published a few years ago, and I can't find my. But yeah, This is and aphorisms are really short. They're condensed, and around the same time that I was writing that, I was also into lyrics, and that was also used in ORPHIC. I do write short stories and novels, but I haven't gone around to publishing those yet because as of last year, I've been so focused, hyper focused on music. Because I'm sure you know it takes a lot of dedication, a lot of commitment, especially nowadays as a solo artist. You have to do everything. You have to produce, you have to write music, record everything, do social media, and in our case, we're also doing video. We're doing all of that. We're playing live, so it really becomes more than a full-time job, honestly.
Yeah, it's that is the realest fucking thing. You have to like learn not only all your instrument and everything that you want to do musically, but content creation, video editing. You're looking up marketing techniques on when to post on Instagram and shit like that. It's always the case.
This is something that I discuss with my friends a lot of the time, because some people have been saying to me that, you know, nowadays artists have it easier because there's social media. You don't necessarily need labels. You can put yourself out there and people will find you. And that's the thing. How do you know people will find it? There's so much online. And previously, you just needed to focus on writing music. That's it. Write good music, play it. If you're doing a good job, perhaps someone will find you, a label will find you. They'll do everything from there. But nowadays, you have to do everything. There's so much more requirements that you have to meet just so people will give you the time of the day. And it's difficult. So I know a lot of artists in the Middle East, around the world, they just, you know, write good music, they pay someone to mix it or do it themselves, they put it out there, they share it, they put it on Bandcamp, for example, YouTube, somewhere, and they just hope that the algorithm gods will do their work and it will suddenly go viral or people will listen to it, and that's it. But that's almost never the case nowadays. Unfortunately, I'd love for it to be this easy where I can just focus on music. I just focus on this. But the reality of the situation, if you're not active, if you're not posting every now and then on your social media pages, if you're not sharing stories, if you're not coming up with content ideas, you'll just get submerged and the algorithm gods will hate you and will smite you and you'll be buried. And that's the issue. So it's not just music now. You need to wear so many hats. So you need to hire people to do this.
Yeah.
Not that I'm against it, but it's expensive, you know. Just focusing on music in itself, writing good music, having the right equipment, the setup, all of that. Even if you decide you want to get some people to record from you, that will cost even more. So it's a lot.
Absolutely. I want to say thank you, Mash, and thank you, Bal Kepa, for the follows. Appreciate you guys. Welcome to the tribe. I did see something in chat that I want to touch on. Was there any romantic content? And you being a part of a reality TV show. So
this will always haunt me, isn't it?
So I did a little bit of research before that. I wasn't sure if that's something that we're gonna touch on or not, but chat brought it up.
So
experience with 90, was it 90 Day Fiance? Is that what it was?
90 Day Fiance, yes. Just to clarify, I was not part of any couple. Story goes as this. Aside from music and everything you see around me, books and music and art and all of that, my day job, what I do to afford all of this, is that I'm a professional interpreter / translator. And I've been doing this for about 15 years. And at some point back in 2019, if I'm not mistaken, just a few months before the whole pandemic, I got a phone call from one of the translation agencies I work with as a freelancer. And they were like, hey, listen, Adam, have you ever done something in front of a camera? I was like, yeah, I've done that before. And they were like, okay, so we have this director. He called us. He's looking for the best interpreter that we have. Now, not to with my own horn, but that's what he told me. And we were like, can you please tell us what kind of services you need? What's the context? And he said, you know what, we're shooting something. We just want someone to translate between the members of staff and people that we have there. And they were like, we can, you know, what's your budget? All that, we can get you someone. You don't necessarily have to go to, you know, don't have to pay that much because you don't need something so technical. And they were like, no, just get us the best person that you have. So he said, I called you. I was like, okay, thank you. I'm flattered. But yeah, sure. Time and date, I'm okay with that. And he was like, okay, here's his phone number. call him and arrange everything. So we talked, and he was like, "Are you comfortable in front of a camera? What kind of experience do you have?" We talked. He was like, "You know what? You sound okay. No problem. Come downtown to this restaurant at midnight." I was like,
That's already sketchy.
"What type of movie are you guys filming?" So I was like, "You know what? I live close to downtown. I have nothing to lose. It's a restaurant. He's not taking me to an alleyway or something." I was like, "Okay, let's go." And I went there, and just a few minutes after I arrived, trucks came, crew members, and they just occupied the entire restaurant, the whole street. Started setting up, they started having dinner, and no one took the time to tell me why I'm here, what I'm here to do. And finally they did. They took me aside, and they were like, "Listen, Adam," and this is how they introduced it to me. "Have you ever heard, do you know what a reality TV show is?" I was like, "Yeah, I know that." They said, "Okay. We had this reality TV show. It's called 90 Day Fiancé. Ever heard of it?" I was like, "No." He's like, "You know what? Good for you." That's what they told me. That's what the director told me. He said, "Good for you." And he said, "So this is basically, we have I don't want to tell you too much for now because we want this to be authentic. It's reality TV. We want you to do yourself, express yourself authentic." So what we have is a couple. We have Brittany. She's from the United States. She's an aspiring rapper. She's out there. That's how he explained. And she got to meet Yezen. Yezen is your average guy from Jordan. He's from Baghdad. He's struggling. He's a guy trying to form himself. And they got to know each other. They fell in love. They're engaged. And they've kind of hit a rough patch, and they need your help. I was like, "Yeah, sure. How can I help?" And they were like, "So..."
But at that time, you still didn't know the premise of the show is like dramatic. You're just like, "Oh, these people got engaged, and they're."
What I just told you was what I knew at the time.
Yeah.
That was all I knew. So you're learning what I knew at the time. And he was like, "So they have hit a rough patch." I was like, "Okay, so how can I help them?" He said, "Well, they need someone to help them communicate because Yezen doesn't speak any English, barely any English, and Brittany speaks no Arabic." And my mind immediately took me to the previous sentence where he said they met, they fell in love, and they're engaged, and now you're telling me they can't talk to one another.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Absolutely believable. Yeah, I'm with you there. And I had, to give him a poker face, and yeah, sure, of course, yeah. I was like, "You know what we want you to do? You'll sit at that table over there. You'll wait for them to come. Once they arrive, the only thing that you need to know beforehand is that you got a call from Brittany, and she told you she wants to hire your service as an interpreter to help her communicate with her fiancé. There's something very important that they need to clear out. There's a lot of confusion because of the bad communication between them. You're just here to do your job. That's the only piece of information I can give you. Are you okay with that?" Like, "Yeah, sure. Why not?" And he said, "Okay, that's the only piece of information you need to know. I know you were hired by us, but the only thing that is we're going to try to play out, the only thing that is not going to be 100% authentic is that, Brittany doesn't know the culture here, doesn't know who to call, doesn't speak Arabic. So we took it upon ourselves to hire you, but she made the call.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't exist. She called you. That's all you need to know. Go ahead and do your job." Sure. And the funny thing is, what I learned later on, of course, they came, they sat down, I did my job, everything went, nothing major happened except of the things that we're talking about, that his family wants to kill him because he got engaged. She's very liberal, and his family is very conservative. And there were rumors that she has OnlyFans, and his parents are accusing her of being a prostitute. And, things like that. "I can't be with you if you're something like this. We need to clear this out." She has a lot of also things that she misunderstood. They want to talk, all of that. And I just translated that and got paid and went home. Director loved my accent, apparently. They were expecting some guy who barely speaks any English, who masquerading as an interpreter, to sit down and do a funny job that would really make this situation very hilarious. But they got the opposite. They got someone who did a professional job and went home and could speak proper English. And so the director liked me, and she was like, "We might need you later on because this is a folding situation. We don't know what might happen. So expect a call from us." And it did happen. So Brittany was happy with my services. They needed me again. She needed to talk to his brother, and a number of more times where I helped them behind the scenes and all of that. And I got paid, everything went well, and I got home, and the pandemic hit, and the entire world shut down. And I was told that the episodes where I'll appear will air, I think, on October of 2020.
Yeah.
So that night, I can't remember which day it was. It could have been the 21st of October or something like that. I went to bed, just a normal person, with a couple of notifications on my Instagram. I woke up to discover that, of course, this is a huge show, apparently. Millions follow it. There's cult followings for this thing. And people, fans, loved me so much that the internet worked their magic. And although on the show, they only mentioned my first name, Adam. That's Adam, the interpreter. That's it. They were able to find all my social media. They did a huge history check on me, and I woke up to find thousands of people following me everywhere. I actually woke up because I forgot to put my phone in silent. It was and I freaked out. And I was like, what's happening? I woke up and I'm just a celebrity, just an overnight sensation. They loved the British accent, apparently. They loved how I conducted myself. And because of the fan reaction, the directors kept calling me for spin-offs over and over again. And I shot a few seasons with them and all of that. And that ended, if I'm not mistaken, 4 years ago. I think even with the spin-offs and all of that, I think we lasted until late 2021, maybe. But up until this moment, there's a huge cult following for my persona on 90 Day Fiancé, at least on Reddit.
Yeah.
I think there's a few subreddits for 90 Day Fiancé. They're beautiful people, wonderful people. They even discovered that I run a cat shelter here in Jordan, and some people started donating for it, and I keep updating them every month, something that I call Kitty Update. Yeah. Every month on the subreddit for 90 Day Fiancé, I post these updates, and people keep following it. And if I miss a single month, they'll call me out. We need a monthly update. And every now and then, they'll make a poll about their favorite character, the most wholesome character on the show, and apparently I always win. So yeah, it's been one hell of a ride.
Incredible.
And for some time, I enjoyed it. It was fun. But the problem is, I'm trying to carry myself as a professional interpreter. I work with the UN. I work with armies around the world. I work with heads of states and all of that. And, sometimes when you do so well in your career, you want to be known for that. The interpreter who works in refugee camps and in war zones and in UN meetings and conferences and conventions and all of that. But apparently I'm known as the guy who translated between two couples who are about to break up. So it's fun. It's fun how these things happen.
Now, these guys found your social media and then started following you. Did anything leak into the metal world? Are there like hardcore fans of ORPHIC that stemmed from 90 Day Fiancé?
I mean, at some point, I think when I released Memory and Frost, our first track back in August 2024, I did, people found out because a lot of people are still following me until this day. And I wouldn't say there has been a huge following, but at least 3 or 4 people who were fans since 90 Day Fiancé also joined the ORPHIC. So I don't know if there's more than that, but these are the people who, reached out directly.
That's incredible. Chat, are you happy now? There you go. We got the party lights going. They started clapping. Papa Het came out and said, "Ooh yeah."
Ooh yeah.
Yeah, it seemed okay, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. You can tell me to go fuck myself. What is the craziest sentence you had to translate or interpret in that show? Because I've seen snippets of 90 Day Fiancé, mostly like PewDiePie reacting to it. But some of the shit they say is insane, and you were sat there having to translate that.
So I think during the conversation between Brittany and Yezen, I'm gonna stay very friendly and respectful because it's a professional relationship with them. I have nothing against them. It's been very fun working with them. But the thing is, between both of them, it's average couple fighting, But there's been one moment where it got really heated. Because I can't remember what spin-off that was, but I was translating between them online. So I think Brittany was in the States, she was here, and it was part of a show where they bring them together just to clash and cause drama. Okay, one of the spin-offs of 9 Days Fiance. I'm not sure. It could be Bear All or something like that. And it got really heated. Like, Brittany was out there putting out all the dirty laundry. They were claiming she was making stuff up. And in the same room where I was, just hooked up just like this, in the next room, there was Yezen's father and brother. And they were hearing Brittany making accusations about their honor and their daughter and what kind of things she does, according to her. And the closest thing that they have, the closest person that they were to them that they could choke was me, because they're hearing Brittany say that. They don't understand what you're saying, but they're hearing me translate it. And that happens a lot to us too as an interpreter, because if you do a good job, people they forget that you're just a medium. So they came into my room while we were filming. What the hell are you saying? How could you say that? I was like, I'm just interpreting. That has nothing to do with it. And that was between both of them. But at some point, there was this other spin-off. I'm trying to remember the name. I think it's called Pillow Talk. So the idea behind it is that they brought me and Yezen. We sit on a couch and we watch one season of 9 Day Fiancé, one spin-off. I think it's called Before the 90 Day? No, 9 Day Fiancé the Other Way, or something like that. So we were watching it, and what they were making us watch is Brittany, who, they split up. Brittany and Yezen, they split up after the show. And she's now dating. She's trying to find, I think it's called Single Life. Sorry, I'm trying to remember. There's so many spin-offs. So in Single Life, Brittany is dating again. And the whole thing is just following her, how's her experience, and all of that. And at some point, she meets with a friend of hers who's a homosexual, and they go dildo shopping. And I have Yezen next to me asking me, what is all of this? What are they trying to buy? And I have to look him in the eye, in front of millions watching, and explain to him what a dildo is and what all of these things are. So that was a beautiful episode. And I think it's still online somewhere. Someone just sent it to me the other day just to mock me. I can send it to you, and I don't know. You want to play it to everyone and just enjoy my
chat. We're gonna put that in the Discord, you guys. we're gonna need to watch it.
Let me try to find it. Sorry.
While you do that, I'm gonna just say thank you, Mash, for the 3 community gifted subs. I really appreciate it. Oh shit, Zvenga Boys, thank you for the gifted sub to Mash as well. And Mystical, welcome to the tribe, my friend. Thank you for hitting the follow. Thank you, guys.
Okay,
oh, damn, we got a hype train going on.
I hope you can see it. I just sent it.
Where?
Using chat.
Oh, yeah, got it.
Okay, so that's on Facebook.
We're gonna need to watch this. I'll put it in
This
Discord.
all haram podcast. Yeah, I agree.
It's a very haram podcast. There's a hype train. Thank you, guys. Got a little Ozzy for the hype train. Thank you for the fire. Thank you. We're on a level 2. At level 2, you absolute fucking maniacs. I appreciate you.
My friend, you seem to have mad skills.
I didn't hear that. What'd you say?
You have mad skills, according to your little animation over there.
Oh, yeah, the twerk one. Yeah, sorry about that. Unfortunately, it always goes to the guest side for some reason, but... they wanted me to twerk one day on stream, so that
I saw that. I know
that became a thing. But let's pivot back.
Yeah,
let's pivot back to ORPHIC and music, because as crazy as that story is, oh, thank you for the wire. As crazy as that story is, I think dude, I want to watch that episode so bad now. It's incredible because a reality TV show, like I'm I'm one of those people that's like, oh man, reality TV shows are all the same, but knowing you were in it is making it a lot more special.
Well, it was definitely an experience. And, I talk about it like this to try to make it might seem like I hated it, but I really didn't.
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was unpredictable. It was fun, which is a lot of things that I enjoy. One of the reasons why I enjoy doing what I do as a freelance interpreter translator is that things keep on changing. So today I was working on something that's to do with development and tax laws. Next day I'll be working with a Japanese expat on things that have to do with mental health. The next day I'm doing 9-Day Fiancé. Then I'm working with refugees from Lithuania, something like that. So I love this. So it was really fun. But at the same time, the content itself was just absolutely hilarious. And having to do it, yes, I can say it very honestly, the crew and everyone were not interfering as far as I could see. So things were just happening organically. Having said that, I don't know if behind the scenes, both of them were trying to make something work, but in front of me, things were just happening and we were rolling with them.
Yeah.
And it was just absolutely hilarious while it was happening. And I think the most beautiful thing that happened because of it is the support that I got from my cat shelter.
Yeah. It's
still going until this day, which I'm very grateful. I was able to save so many lives. And
it's called Lumiere?
Lumiere. Yes, that's French for the light.
I know French. Bonjour, je m'appelle, everybody.
Well, you know more than I do now.
Yeah, je m'appelle, quel âge as-tu, comme ci, comme ça, Eiffel Tower.
My wife chose that name.
What does it mean?
Light in French.
Oh. Nice.
Lumiere.
Lumiere.
Yeah, the whole idea was that we're trying to be a light for these animals, for those cats, so it's Lumiere. She suggested, I was like, you know what? No, let's do it.
That's crazy. So, and in Jordan, not to diss the whole thing or generalize it, but in Jordan, like cats aren't like rescued. Generally speaking, there's so many fucking cats in the streets, and the like what's the catch neuter release or trap neuter release?
Yeah, TNR.
Stuff. When I remember talking to someone about it, and they were like, "What the fuck? What are you even talking about?"
It's not part of the culture, unfortunately. Yeah. And this is, if you work in rescue, cats, dogs, whatever, you know this to be the reality. People, sometimes when you think about how complex the whole situation is, you kind of tell yourself people are barely able to feed themselves and sympathize and have empathy to one another. You wouldn't expect them to do that toward animals. But it's not all dark and gloom. There's a lot of people that work in this, a lot of people who try to help. But yeah, the problem of stray cats and dogs in Jordan is problematic. And it's difficult for cats and dogs, but especially dogs, unfortunately. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, shout out to Lumiere for you guys doing your thing. There's a ton happening in chat.
That means they're happy, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Who hit the Ultimate Pimp Daddy? Hit the follow. Thank you, Ultimate Pimp Daddy. Incredible.
I am concerned.
Incredible name.
He's not just the Pimp Daddy; he's the ultimate.
The ultimate.
He had
pimp
to fight
daddy.
a lot of Pimp Daddies to get that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would like to see that. I would like to see that reality show. The Ultimate Pimp Daddy.
Lengo, thank you for the biddies.
The guy who... Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, there's so much happening. Lengo, thank you for the biddies. World of Clam, thank you for the biddies. Everybody that's supporting and throwing subs and throwing bits, I appreciate you guys. All the love. It keeps the lights on around here, I'll tell you that much. So this goes a long way. But yeah, let's love cats and dogs. I'm sheltering a stray cat and her newborn litter. It's not much, but I love cats and I'm happy to look after this family. Hell yeah.
Thank you for that, man. Fantastic.
Hell yeah. Thank you for the fire. Let's get back to ORPHIC, because I've struggled to try and pin ORPHIC in thank you guys, in a genre. It's very difficult to put what you do in like a specific box. It's not melodic death metal. It's not, there's no sound. How do you describe what you do?
How do I describe what I do? The way I try to look at my music, or if I have to put a label on it, I usually refer to it as progressive metal and rock. While at the same time acknowledging that it's not progressive in the more traditional sense. Like when you think progressive metal, you think of Dream Theater and bands like that, Tool, things like this, but it's not in that direction.
All the
And
things
when
I don't like.
think, yeah, when I think about progressive, I think of music that progresses, so it changes. The way I approach progressive is maybe closer to what sometimes is referred to as art rock, just like they refer to Pink Floyd and bands like that. Not to liken myself to them, of course, they're gods, but what I'm trying to say is that the music progresses and changes. So what you're listening to now, when you start with Memory Frost, there's a certain feeling and a part of the story that I feel something that is intense, like death doom, melodic as well, might do the trick. So that's where I kind of divert the subgenre towards it. When I move to track 2 in the story, which is Bleed and Dance, it's where our character is at its lowest. He has all these hallucinations. He's having all these hallucinations. There are a lot of things that's happening emotionally, and there's a lot of emotional baggage that he's trying to deal with. So I try to bring it down. Also, as how I view music as an experience as a producer, I try to create something like a wave. So it's not just one surface, it's not a straight ride. It's wavy, full of turmoil, just like our emotions on our journey. So in Bleed and Dance, I wanted something more atmospheric, something more emotional, slower, but also has some intense moments. So I went to something closer to what you would describe as dark rock and gothic rock. I was thinking of bands like Sleeping Pulse. I was in my head listening, kind of summoning the vibe of something like Burden from Opeth, Antimatter, these kind of sounds. And when I went to Whispers of the Ancients, track 3, I wanted to open it up a little bit. It's more of a prophetic feeling track. When it comes to the lyrics, I wanted to have a more grand feeling. So it started swinging between these two genres. So the quieter parts make you feel like it's akin to Bleed and Dance. Once you move to the stronger parts, you go into something a bit more doomy. Then in No Orpheus, because the song takes you to an actual fight, it's a mythical fight between Hades, the god of the underworld. If you want, I could get into the story with more detail later on, but just to explain and connect this to genre. And we have our protagonist fighting the god of the underworld. So it's a huge fight. He's descending into the underworld. And the way I wanted that to be is that it's a narration. So the music is actually made for the fight. It's very cinematic. It's very dramatical. So for that, I needed something more in the actual genre of progressive death metal. If you listen to No Orpheus, there's a lot of different time signatures. Tempos change a lot. There's a lot of stops and jumps here and there. So that one would be more classic or traditional progressive. The tracks that are coming, we have 7 tracks in this unfolding album, will sound very different from the 4 that came. But still, the way I try to do it is that they can't be too different. They still need to have the same feel, the same sound, the same atmosphere, enough so you feel that you're following a story. It's a huge story and it's taking you all around the place, but you're still on the same boat. Hope I'm making sense with that.
Yeah.
That's what I try to do. So, for example, sometimes I wanted to work with other vocalists because I knew they would do something in a nice way, but I decided not to because I felt if I'm going to change the vocalist now, it's just going to be too much of a change. It needs to be the same person. And for me, for track 5 that we're releasing very soon, I wanted to do the clean vocals initially, but I decided, you know what, this can't work. I know that Ali, my friend who did Bleed and Dance, Whispers, can do a fantastic job with it, and it needs to stay just so the characters still have the same voices and the same affiliations. So he did it. He did a fantastic job. Hopefully you'll hear it very soon and you'll like it. And so that's going back to answer your actual question after all of this context. The way I look at it would be progressive rock/metal, but knowing myself, my roots in metal are in death doom.
Okay.
So bands like Saturnus, Swallow the Sun, certain ages of Catatonia, something like that. This is where I find myself.
Yeah.
Most of my influence. But for example, hopefully you'll see in our upcoming releases after this album, we will, hopefully in album 2, we will get deeper into progressive in the sense that people understand it, but trying to make it so authentically Opeth, if I'm successful doing that.
Awesome. I saw a couple of questions about Rock On Festival. Let's answer those. Ziggy,
Sure,
keep those questions locked in. We're gonna listen to. We have Memory and Frost or Bleed and Dance. And I think maybe Memory and Frost would be good because it also showcases Rock On Festival from last year.
I think that will be a great segue to talking about Rock On.
Hell yeah. All right, let's turn off this background music.
Or we can listen to Bleed and Dance later on if the audience would like to do so.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's check this out. Thank you for the biddies.
رثاء ذكرى لها في القلب منزلة كانت سراجا بنور الوجد تغمرني ورغم برد فراقها تظل هي ما يسكن الروح من دفء يهددني.
Is that Bursha on bass? Yeah, that's 100%.
Yes. He says hi, by the way.
Say that again?
He wants me to tell you he says hi.
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, I saw him in chat. There he is. Shout out to Butcher. What's good, brother?
روحها بأن أكون صلدا كدرع إله الشمس وهاجا، لكن غدر المنون طال ملهمتي فأصبح القلب قاتما وأجاجا. أسرعت صوب سراب التيم ألتمس وهما يتوجني هذا الهيام تاجا. نجوى تجسد ما في النفس من وجع، ذكرى تعانق قلب المكلوم إنهاجا.
It's
الروح ينحسر ما كان من شيامي هجران جانبك لذا سأبقى هنا أذوي وأبتهل لعل سكرة موتك تفارقني.
We got the perfectly timed fire there from Eminem. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah, man. This is so chat. If you fucked with that, if you liked it, light it up, do the claps, do the things, show everybody that you fucked with it. But that's the kind of thing that I was trying to tell you. It's kind of genreless.
I mean, I feel like Memory and Frost, a lot of people told me that it feels like it's melodic death doom metal, which I think is close enough. Definitely. Woo! Just to answer a few things that I saw in the chat. So
yeah.
Someone's talked about Bursha. Yes, Bursha is an amazing person. I'm really grateful for him. If you don't know his work, go check it out. Fantastic work. Personally, okay, thank you. I learned a lot listening to his music, and I'm very grateful for his support because he's a live bassist and harsh vocalist, as you saw there. Originally, in the original recording that you listened to, that was my friend Terry Stuka from the Netherlands, who you will hear in the studio versions of ORPHIC's harsh vocals on our studio versions. It's Terry Stuka for this album. So that was fantastic. Also, someone talked about the doubled keyboards. Yes, we have a fantastic keyboardist. Shout out to Mohammed Rish. He's with us. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I think so. For a solo project, how do you go about picking people for live? Because that's probably one of the hardest things, to be like, how do I maintain the sound that I have, and especially the sound in the studio, and then transpose that into a live show like you guys did for Rock On?
Definitely. I think one of the things that I did that helped me doing this, it was difficult, but not as difficult as others might have it, is because when I decided to debut ORPHIC, so ORPHIC as a project, as music on a project, it started back in late 2014, kind of beginning of early 2015, when I started writing for ORPHIC. But I only debuted in August 2024 when I was like, you know what, it's time to start putting things out. I need to start making a presence. Something needs to be done. And I started putting out this album, which is Lantern for the Lost, that we're unfolding. But when I decided to do that, I remember very vividly at some point sitting, just recording some of the tracks. And I was like, because I also work as a session musician. I record to a lot of people, I produce for a lot of people, and I do it online, and that's it. And I know the feeling of doing something and writing something for other people or for myself. That sounds fantastic for you, all of that. But what happens is that you just do it alone with yourself, and you just press a key and it's out there, and then it's nothing. And I didn't want to have that experience. I really wanted to work with people that I like, with friends that I like. Friends that, just like me, have been out of the scene for some time. I think, with the exception maybe of our drummer Qais and our keyboardist Mohammed Rish, everyone else in the live band have been away from the scene for at least 7 years.
Yeah.
And even the ones that, are with us in the studio versions, with the exception of Terry, he just corrected me. I've always read it Stuka, but apparently it's Toka, so I'm sorry, my friend. But I've never pronounced his name, which is good because I'm meeting him in a few weeks in the Netherlands, so I should know how to pronounce his name. So the thing is, what I decided to do, even in the studio version, if you check our music, almost in every track, I'm collaborating with someone. Although I could probably do a decent job with the harsh vocals, a decent job with clean vocals if I practice enough. But I didn't want to do it solo. I wanted to do it with friends. So I reached out. I think the first person was Jihad. You're seeing him all over the chat. He's my best friend, actually. And even though he's not into the same type of metal as I am, we always agree on what we consider to be good music. So a lot of the time, I'm just sending him stuff. You know what? I've been working on this. What do you think? He's always honest. We're deadly honest with one another. There's no compliment whatsoever. So he'd tell me his raw opinion. I'll take it. We work on things. And I think at some point, I was like, I want to do this. I want to create memories. I want this process of making ORPHIC and making the music for ORPHIC be full of memories and full of fun. And I can't do that on my own. I need to do it with friends. So even at the point and at the level of the studio work, it was all done with friends, starting with at the first track that we started to working on was Bleed and Dance, actually, that I worked on with Jihad. If you listen to the track, hopefully we'll listen to it shortly, you'll see that he's involved in, there's a whole solo that we do together, just like you'd have in Burden with Opeth. We're working together, we're duetting together. And even when we stopped that and went back to Memory and Frost, I reached out to Terry. I was like, hey man, we've worked together in Eternal Insomnia. It was a beautiful experience. You have a fantastic talent. What do you think of this? I would like for us to work together. Check out this music. Do you like it? And he was like, I love it. I would like to give it a shot. And I was like, okay, you know what? This is the vocal line that I have in mind. This is the lyrics. This is something for you to record on. Let's see what happens. And it's just the first thing he sent me. I was taken aback. I was just listening to it like this. He put so much emotion. He felt the music and he felt the story so deeply, although at that point I haven't explained it to him in full depth, but apparently the music just got to him and he did a sensational performance, which is the same performance you're hearing now, because I think that was the first thing he sent me. The only changes that we did to that were a few words here or there, just to, although I know it's harsh vocals, but I wanted to be as clearly pronounced as possible.
Yeah.
So and I told him, don't redo it. Don't redo anything completely. Just this line here, focus on this word, that line here. And you know what? I think it will sound fantastic if we do an additional layer here. Let's do low and high here. That's it, adding layers here and there and correcting one or two words.
Yeah.
Sent me that again. I was like, perfect. Not changing anything to it. And barely any editing, as far as I know. Major editing was done to it. The wizard would be Bursha. He can correct me if I'm mistaken.
Svengaboy says that's just what we all strive to feel. To get something back and be like, yo, you killed it.
Yes. And that's, by the way, that's always the experience with Terry. It's always, I send him something and I feel like I always in a way challenge him, because Memory and Frost was very comfortable for him. When we went to No Orpheus, it was very different. It was very theatrical and fast, the performance, but he nailed it. And you will hear him in a number of tracks down the line, track 5 and track 6, where you will barely recognize him, because and this is what I love about working with Terry. As I told about how the music progresses, you can hear Terry's voice progress and change. So when you hear him in Memory and Frost and No Orpheus, he's a little bit different. You'll hear him into The Light of Terra, you'll hear a completely different beast. And when we move to track 6, that I'm not going to discuss now, we'll reveal information about it very soon, he's a different human being. And that's what I loved also about working with him. That's always the experience working with Terry, which has been fantastic. And same thing with working with Jihad, for example. I would have something, especially for Bleed and Dance. I was like, you know what, man, this is the structure I have for this song. I would like us to do a long solo here. I know it's not the thing nowadays, but I'm kind of taking some inspiration structurally here from Burden. I would like us to do something like this. Here's this part. I'm coming up with a few ideas. You do you, and let's meet again and work on it. And Jihad, being Jihad, he wrote a solo for the whole thing. And I was like, for the love of God, man. And I listened to it. And I was like, you know what? It's phenomenal. But I feel you just caught on fire in the second part. Because it's kind of 3 loops. I was like, loop 2, and it's beautiful. I wouldn't change a note. I think I have a slightly better idea for loop 1 and how to get us in the mood. So you know what? I'll handle loop 1. You keep loop 2, and we'll harmonize in loop 3. And we did it, and it worked. Same thing in Bleed and Dance. Bleed and Dance was a really phenomenal experience because I brought in 2 additional friends. Mm-hmm. That's Clem and Ali. And both of them, if they'd allow me to tell just a small part of their story, haven't performed for years. Or for personal reasons, professional reasons, one way or another. They've been out of the scene for years. And especially with Ali, when I wrote Bleed and Dance back in 2016, I think it was originally written, I showed it to him, I showed him the vocal line, and he performed it flawlessly. And I just couldn't get myself to find someone else, because then he moved out of the country. He got really busy with a personal, professional project, and it was difficult for him to record anything. But I just wanted to work with Ali. It just sounded perfect for it. And I decided just to shelf the entire song. When he came back, I was already reviving this album and working on it and reproducing it. I was like, you know what? You and Clem, I'm bringing you guys back. And they came in, and it was obvious they haven't been performing for a few years. And everyone was like, you know what? I think we're rusty. I'm not sure how we're going to make this work. And we were like, you know what? We have friends who are vocal coaches. One particular friend, his name is Qasid. He's the keyboardist with a local Jordanian band, very well known. They're called Jadal. He's their keyboardist and a longtime friend of mine. And I called him, man, I think I need your help. This is the situation. He was like, I'd love to help. And he came in, and for a full month, we were just practicing, all of us. He would sit here on this keyboard here, on this piano, and everyone will be sat back here, and let's practice, let's warm up, let's relearn how to do this. And then we went to the studio, we recorded Bleed and Dance. And when we moved to track 3, Whispers of the Ancient, it took one session. A few hours, and everything was recorded because everyone was just, you know, the engine was bright red and burning. And that was the beauty of it. We created so much memories. When we sit down, all of us together that are now in the live band, everyone in the live band, with the exception of Rish and Qais, are part of the studio versions one way or another. Bursha's example is the mixing engineer and the mastering engineer and he also helps us record vocals for Memory and Frost and No Orpheus so far. He's been part of the project throughout. And so when you have already that chemistry built in from the studio work, when we decided to go live, and that's a story that we'll talk about now when we start talking about Rock On, because Qais reached out to me and we're like, you know what, I love ORPHIC, I love what you do, I'm planning something huge, I'd love you guys to be involved. And it became clear, I was dreaming that one day, maybe next year or something like that, when the entire album is out, maybe I'll start thinking about what we can do. Yeah. And I was already thinking about reaching out to Qais because at that time, Rock On Festival 1, the first one, already went out and caused a huge bubble. It just changed the status quo.
So give us a little bit of history, because I don't even know enough. I don't know if a lot of people in chat would know enough about Rock On Festival. So were you attending the first one? How did that happen? How did Rock On even happen?
So my understanding from my discussions with the two people behind Rock On, I think there are 3 basically. So you have Qais Nu'man, who's also our drummer, our live drummer for ORPHIC. He's also one of the founders and organizers of Rock On. I think he's with us. Qais, if you're here, say hi to everyone. I know he's busy organizing the next Rock On, but he might be with us here today. We also have Hazem, who's, I think, the driver behind this everything, the man with the most passion for this, not to undermine Qais' passion. And I think there's also Haya, who's, the woman behind it all, kind of organizing and pulling some strings from behind the scenes. These are the 3 people who were driving it, with most of the passion coming from Qais and Hazem. And they wanted to change the status quo. I think from how Qais described it to me, the main person with so much passion for it was Hazem. And he talked to Qais. Qais was like, I'll support you no matter what. And they started working. And they knew, from what they explained to me, that the first thing they need to tackle is the main issue, which is the security situation. Getting licenses, doing all of that. So they started digging into it. How can we change that? And they actually went to the source. They went in to try to file for a license, file for an authorization, and they almost got detained. They were questioned and all of that. But what they discovered is that behind the scenes, things were changing. I remember Qais telling me that a lot of the people who were talking to him about metal and rock and all of that, some of these people were listening to Megadeth. They knew Megadeth, they knew Metallica, they knew all of that. So I think that helped maybe break the barrier. People from police forces were already familiar with metal. They knew it wasn't about Satan, but still the national stereotype is still there. Satan, and that's how people view it. I'm not sure.
Sorry to cut you off. I just want to say, Young Gun, thank you for the raid. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. We're doing a podcast with Adam from ORPHIC, talking about the Jordanian metal scene. Young Gun, you absolute badass. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So they started working with the authorities, started learning how they can get all these licensing and permits and all of that. And one way or another, they made it work. They got a license. As far as they have told me, they are the only company in Jordan, or the only organizer in Jordan, who has a license for metal and rock festivals and concerts in Jordan. And they wanted to start really big. So they didn't want to start with something small. And this is where the idea for Rock on One came. They wanted to do an open air metal festival.
Which hasn't
been done in the Middle East.
Not only an open air festival hasn't been done. I mean, Dubai Desert Rock, but that was a completely different field. But
yeah,
in Jordan, for those dry years, there wasn't even shows. There was nobody on stage. Not only a festival with multiple bands.
Exactly, because the last time there was what you would loosely refer to as a festival, I think, was back in 2018. And it was raided, and the whole story that I told you about. Ever since then, as far as I know, if there is anything, it would have been in dive bars, something very underground, how it used to be a long time ago. And even worse, I dare say. So they wanted to change that. This is where Rock on One came. They worked with the local bands, they put on a show, and that was when they just broke the glass and kept going. And then they came with the idea for Rock on 2, and they wanted to go even bigger. And they went for a band that they were really fond of, a doom metal band known as Clouds from Romania, if you've ever heard of them. They wanted to bring them to Jordan, and they started also trying to work regionally, reaching out to regional bands if see there's any interest. And this is where the amazing Abzi came to rescue. So the guys from Abzi, Toe, beautiful people that we had got the privilege to meet them at Rock On Festival too.
Yeah,
and at that time also Qais reached out to me. He was like, man, I need to have a local band, because the whole idea of Rock On is to support the local bands. And our whole philosophy is that we want to give local bands exposure. The best way to do it is to get them, part of something else, part of something bigger, to get them to know the regional players, the hot people in the region, to get them also with international bands, get them some exposure, get them some good eyes and good media. And he said, we would love for ORPHIC to be there. And I was really excited. At the time, I only had, I think, a couple of songs out. I think at that point, only Memory and Frost and Bleed and Dance were coming out. But even at that point, I already had the full album almost ready. So I knew at least I can add a few other songs. And that's when, to circle back to the main question with the live band, that's when the idea came to start a live band. It wasn't that difficult for me, just like I told you, because I have Jihad, my trusty brother and guitarist. I knew he would be hopefully interested. We reached out, he agreed, and that was the best and most important thing for me, because the chemistry we have is unbreakable. I'm just
gonna make this joke real quick, because Young Gun is in the chat, and two Arabs, and then the word jihad came up. That's a dude's name, Young Gun. I'm just
exactly.
Just before anybody panics.
His name and curse.
Just before anybody panics, these two Arabs on Twitch talking about that's the dude's name. Okay, just.
Let's call him Jay.
Yeah, let's call him Jay. Let's not yell jihad into the microphone. All right, let's just.
Okay. So, Jihad was there, and I talked to Clem. Clem was there. At that point, just for that particular festival, unfortunately, Ali couldn't make it because he had an important business meeting that he couldn't postpone. So, unfortunately, he wasn't part of the whole thing. But Qais, when he reached out and talked about it, he said, I would love to be the drummer for it. And Qais and I, by the way, go way back. I think we were friends from 6th grade. But, at some point, adult life just drifts apart, and we haven't talked for some time. So that was also an opportunity for us to, rekindle our friendship. And so I had my drummer, I had my guitar player, I had one vocalist, and I started looking for a bassist, a harsh vocalist, and keyboardist. So I reached out to, I put an ad out there for a keyboard player, and on a group for musicians in Jordan. Rish reached out. He said, I would love to. The beautiful thing about that, because I was a bit nervous, because I had a few plans for a bassist and a harsh vocalist from my friends, but I didn't know a friend who was a keyboardist who could do it. I talked to Qasid, the one I told you about, but he's extremely busy. So it didn't work out. And I was really a bit nervous about this someone coming from outside my circle. Will we get along or not? But Rish is a fantastic person. And the beautiful thing is that he was actually a fan of ORPHIC. And he actually told me, he was like, I'm listening to ORPHIC, I'm loving the music. I saw that post, and I was thought, as a joke, I'll say I'm interested. And here I am, part of the live band, and that was beautiful. And then I needed a bassist and a harsh vocalist, and the first person that popped to mind who could fill this perfectly was Burshid. But I knew how busy he was. But you know what? Let me try. Let me throw it out there. I have nothing to lose. And I called him, and I immediately got a resounding yes, and I was set.
Oh, yeah.
I have my crew. Everything is fantastic, and that's how the live band came to be. And now with a new date that Ali can make work, Ali is back, the live band, and I have the whole crew. The only thing that I tried to make happen is to get Terry to Jordan, and we really tried, but every time it just didn't work for one reason or another. But I'm still hopeful that one day I'll share the stage with Terry.
Fuck yeah! What kind of bands? Or so when is this next Rock On Festival? When's it happening? September
19th.
September 19th in Amman, Jordan. We know April is flying there to play the show as well.
That's one of the most exciting things about this, is because this one, there's no international bands in the sense that from outside the region, it's regional and local. We have ORPHIC and April co-headlining this event together. We have the After Dark Syndicate, which is a beautiful project here in Jordan, very unique. It's spearheaded by Dennis. He's living in Jordan, but he's French. And his music is this mix of rap metal, new metal, and all these different elements. He has this unique French accent to his English, so it really works in a beautiful way into his music. He has a lot of connections, so every now and then there's a guest artist, a vocalist, a guitarist working with him, which is beautiful, by the way. You should check him out. The After Dark Syndicate from Jordan, beautiful work. And joining them is also our brothers from Ibrazis. Beautiful work, Zaid, Salim, Qusay, and the gang. So they'll be also playing with us. And there's a newly formed band called Dying Embers. Their drummer is actually Qais, our drummer as well. He's a huge fan of this nostalgia, 2000s punk rock, things like punk rock and early new metal and that type of music. And they're putting this band together to open for the show and play all these kind of 2000 hits. And yeah, that's the whole idea. And it's going to be an open air festival as well. So going back to the original idea of Rock On Festival 1. And we're really stoked because I gotta tell you, one of the most beautiful things that we experienced, and I can talk from my bandmate, I'm sure. One of the most beautiful things that we experienced in Rock On Festival 2 is the camaraderie. It was beautiful. So we had Clouds, they were headlining. From Jordan, we had ORPHIC, and regionally, we had Abzi and we had Toe. And the guys from Abzi and Toe, Abzi and Deadleaf and Kudos and Aziz, beautiful people. I cannot talk good enough about them. Abzi was a class act of a person, unbelievable. From the first time we met them until we said goodbye, they were beautiful, they were fantastic. There's one thing that Abzi did that I'll never forget. This is kind of a core memory for me. When we first met, we were talking and everything, and he asked about our merch. And we were like, yeah, it's in that booth over there. And I asked him, do you have any merch? Do you bring anything? He was like, no, we didn't find any good places to print them in Kuwait and all. And it was like, you know what? Hopefully next time. What he did without us knowing is that he went behind our back. He bought this exact shirt and he wore it on stage.
Yeah.
And that was absolutely beautiful. And it's not just Abzi, it's not the guys from Abzi or Toe, also Clouds, Daniel and Kuro and all the gang, they were so supportive. The friends that we made in that experience is something I'll never forget. And I'm really excited to relive this experience once again in Rock On Festival 3 with the guys from April, the After Dark Syndicate and Brazos. We know each other a little bit, but we never share the stage together. So this is a unique experience. So if there's one thing that also, this is part of the culture that Qais and Hazem is trying to make. We need to forget about this petty, weird, and meaningless competition that sometimes happen between some musicians in the metal scene that I don't understand. All these ideas of gatekeeping and trying to form factions.
Does that actually happen in Jordan? Because I was just about to say, the Middle Eastern metal scene in general, generally speaking, I feel like that camaraderie that you were talking about is kind of our standard over here.
I agree. I've certainly experienced that for the most of my career here in Jordan. I've seen some oddballs here and there, unfortunately, but that's the norm. But I think they were really focusing on this a lot because it's part of the culture they're trying to create. They want to foster this culture where we all support one another. If we're just starting out, if we have years of experience, people who are veterans like Book and Klipsch and Relix and Bilocate and all these veterans in the scene, we want to help each other, just like with the new guys. We want everyone to love metal and enjoy it and experience it and become a musician if they want to and feel encouraged that way. So even the culture that they try to create and cultivate in the festival is really beautiful. They treat everyone well. They try to get us to enjoy the experience together. And that is something that I believe is one of the strong points for this endeavor.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I remember seeing someone say something about it being streamed, but I'm not 100% sure if
it is. Yes.
If it's going to be streamed. That would be
Yes.
that
So
would be
one
really,
of
really
the
sick.
sponsors of Rock On Festival ever since its onset has been Arab Metal Society, and
Yep.
they always send someone who streams the entire thing.
Fuck yeah. Hell yeah. Chat, if you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat right now for Adam while we discuss, so I can gather them all and make sure that we get to each and every single one of them. Except for Ziggy, don't ask any questions because all your questions are horrifying.
I think I caught Ziggy talking about Memory and Frost not being his cup of tea, and he talked about coming to the scene to supporting us. I'm not sure if he's in Jordan and planning to come to Rock On Festival, but I'd love to meet you, man. I'd love to meet people, to talk about it, about the music and all of that. So if you're coming to Rock On Festival, hit me up, introduce yourself. I'd love for us to meet.
And having said that, exclamation point guest or exclamation point about will give you the ORPHIC Instagram page where everything will branch out from there. You can get to their Spotify, their YouTube, all that stuff from their Instagram page. And make sure you hit the follows and do all the things and all the stuff. I'll be there, and you'll see my nudes. See what I mean about.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Now, if you don't mind, I did post on our Instagram to see if people have any questions that you would like us to discuss during this.
Oh, fuck yeah!
So I'm just gonna go to that. See what we've got. Check right there. Yeah. What kind did we get here? So April wanted us to talk about how awesome Rock On will be, and I think we addressed that. We're really excited for April to be here. I've been kind of from far away, been following April a long time ago, and then they went into the hiatus and kind of disappeared, and then suddenly came back with Tales and then Lukewarm and all of that. And I was just talking to April today. She sent a message and she was like, I'm excited for this and everything. And I immediately took a screenshot because when she sent me that message, I was listening to Lukewarm. And I immediately took a screenshot and I sent it to her. I said, I was just listening to this. So we're really excited to have it all done. I was just also watching their performance last night in their UAE debut. Beautiful show. So can't wait to share the stage with them. Really excited for that. And I know that the guys from Rock On are doing right now. I know for a fact that Qais is meeting with the kind of stage companies and providers and all of that to make sure that we get the best support that we can. And I know that they have a lot of investments, personally and professionally, to make sure that this works. So yeah, that's just to answer April on that.
Hell yeah.
Okay, so I have a question here, if you don't mind, talking about why are we choosing to release this album one track at a time?
That always comes up. Singles versus album. In terms of a release strategy. And I know my answer. I've said it 100 times, but that's a great question. I'd love to hear yours.
Yeah. So when I first started thinking about it, because as I told you, I already started writing music for ORPHIC back in 2015, let's say. So it's 10 years now. And honestly, if I stopped writing music today and just work on what I already written in the last 10 years, I have 5 albums and 1 EP. So there's a lot of work that I've done for ORPHIC, and we're releasing it one step at a time. But the thing is, when I started working on this album, which is Lantern for the Lost, I really started thinking about this question. I watched a lot of videos. I read to a lot of experts who were, very in tune with what's happening in the music scene nowadays. And knowing what I know, observing things around me, I really didn't feel that putting out an album, just throwing it out there and expecting it to go viral, even if I'm gonna, promote it here and there, create a few videos and post them, I felt that some tracks will be overshadowed. And the thing is, I will just put it out there, and then I'm just kind of referring people to old things that I've already put out. So not a lot of new content, not a lot of engagement. And it seems to be this is what the algorithm gods want: engagement, constant engagement with your fans. You always have something to talk about. And aside from the algorithms, people have a very short attention span. If you're not something on their feed every now and then, they will forget you. So I made a decision, part of it is about suspense, part of it is about, putting this theory to test. I said, okay, I'll do this for the first album. I know it's a 7-tracker. I'll put it 1 track at a time. And because I knew that part of what I wanted to do with this album, I wanted to tell the story in so many different mediums. So part of it is in the lyrics, part of it is in the music, part of it is in the artworks. If you've noticed, if you follow us on Instagram, you'll notice that every track has an artwork. So part of the story is told in the artwork, and we have videos for every artwork that we refer to as a artwork reveal video. Mm-hmm. In that video, there is also part of the lore that is being revealed. So and also we have the music videos. Almost all of the tracks, with the exception of Whispers of the Ancients, we have a music video for it. So that tells part of the story. So all of these engagements, I felt that I can only deliver them effectively if I'm releasing 1 track at a time. And this is what we decided to do. So far, I think it's been a success.
Yeah.
But of course, I've learned from this experience, and I know for a fact that for our next album, if I decided to follow the same formula, I'm probably going to start releasing them 1 track at a time once I almost have them all ready. Because currently, track 5, 6, and 7 are finished. They're either in the process of mixing, mastering, video production, release, all of that. You've been through it, you know how long that can take. But what I've been doing is that once I am done with something, I put it out. And what has been happening is that, for example, Memory and Frost debuted in August 2024. Bleed and Dance came 6 months later, 7 months later. And then 2 months later, we had Whispers of the Ancients. Then 3 months later came Orpheus. So a lot of time between them. I've been trying, we had concerts between them and all of that. But if I have a choice, I would actually make sure that, just like Abzi does that, I know for a fact.
He just has them locked and loaded.
And just locked and loaded. Every month he releases 1, which is a fantastic idea. So, learning from this experience for album number 2, I'll probably do that. I'll maybe start releasing them once I have 5 out of 7 tracks ready. And I know that the next 2 will need a month or 2. I'll start releasing them. But yeah, for me, this has proven to be effective.
Very fucking cool. Chat, is there who's arguing about who's old? You guys know how old we are here. The second you set foot in this chat, Adam, I don't know if you know this or not, but if you type in this chat, you're immediately 43 years old. Whether you're 18 or 81.
I'm not surprised at all, because Jihad is here, and when I started reading some of Ziggy's content, I knew they'll click, and that's what's happening right there.
Yeah, you're immediately 43 years old. That's the only way to do it, because regardless if you're 18 or 81, if you join the stream, you're going through a midlife crisis. That's basically just a bunch of people that are here to bully other people. Alexi, thank you for the follow. Appreciate you. Welcome to the tribe, my friend. And yeah, man, Adam, I feel like we haven't even scratched the surface. I feel like we definitely need a part 2 to really dive into a whole bunch more and get things going. But I think the best case scenario would be maybe after Rock On Festival, we do a part 2 and actually have some like throwbacks to Rock On Festival. If it's going to be streamed and stuff like that, we can go touch base and watch some of the stuff that went down Hopefully
Definitely.
Ziggy would have gone and get
I
his
think
take
one
on
good
it.
way to do it, if just a suggestion, we can do it. We can add April to the line. We can have the three of us,
100%.
because I'm sure she'll have a unique experience. She'll have a lot to talk about, and I think, yeah. And I'm really
Absolutely.
hopeful that the formula that Rock-On is trying to do will attract more people to Jordan, because this is what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
They're trying to tell the world that we have a scene in the Middle East. We're working hard to make it, to put it out there, to support the local bands and the regional bands, which is, I remember talking to Abzi and I told him, how's the scene in Kuwait? And he said, what scene?
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing. Why do you think I'm here? Which is sad, honestly, because when I look at what's happening in Kuwait with Deadleaf and Toe and Abzi and Lumina, there's a lot of passionate guys out there and they're pumping out beautiful stuff. So hopefully this will turn into something infectious and we'll start seeing more in Kuwait. And I know that in Dubai you have a lot of action, and I know that Saudi is getting into the party.
Mhm.
But I'd love to see more coming out from Egypt. Honestly, there's fantastic bands in Egypt, but they don't have a lot of support.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Yeah.
we can be, what's happening here in Jordan can be somewhere they can vent all of this pressure.
I think that's the beauty of the region in general, is that it turned into a regional scene, not necessarily each country by itself. So each country has pockets, barely of a scene, but then together kind of turned into this like Middle Eastern metal thing. And like you said, as long as we connect with each other and everybody supports each other, I think we can
That's
fuck with
the
it.
plan. That's the plan.
Absolutely, bro. Thank you so much for being here. Genuinely.
Thank you for having me.
It doesn't feel like we even scratched the surface, because there's so much more to cover. But yeah, let's do a part 2. And chat, whoever's still here, type the word fuck in chat. I don't How many fucks did we get this stream? There's a fuck counter. I don't know if I told you that.
I don't see it. I see it. I don't see it.
Oh,
14.
Oh, you guys are.
That's moderate.
Yeah, you guys have been polite. Damn. There we go. Fuck on festival. All right, man.
Who said that?
Where did it go? Who said that?
There's a lot of fucks I can't follow.
There's a lot of fucks going on. Yeah, chat. I
It's either
appreciate you.
speaking or jihad. Anyway,
I appreciate everyone being here. Thank you to everybody that subbed, followed. Thank you to Young Gun for the massive raid. And yeah, everybody that stuck around. We'll be back again tomorrow. We're gonna have a little bit of a challenge, and we might have our score on the screen for you. And let's see who we're gonna raid before I do this. All right, let's go to Ellie. Thank you. Thank you for the Slayers, Venga boys. Yeah, I appreciate each and every single one of you. Thank you guys so much for being here. Once we get over to Ellie Razor's channel, just be nice, say something positive in chat, and I think she's doing reactions and requests. So maybe a little ORPHIC. Maybe suggest a little bit of ORPHIC and try to get some more people's eyeballs on the songs. Having said that, Adam, I'll give you the floor. You talk to chat however you want, and then once you're ready, you say the magic words, hit the outro, and that's when we will hit the outro. Professor Frosty, thank you for the resub, you absolute badass. Chat, that's from me. Here's Adam.
well, thank you, Unmuted, for hosting me. It's been a pleasure. I've been watching this show for quite some time, and it's a real honor to be here with everyone. Thank you for everyone who showed up. I saw Rachel has been here throughout the whole thing. The guy from Brazos, I think I saw Salim. Thank you very much, guys, for the support. Thank you for listening to all of this and bearing with me for 2 hours of me just yapping. So I really appreciate it. We're going to make sure that we give you one hell of a Rock-On festival, and hopefully next time we're here with April and we can have some more exciting things to share with you. Thank you for having me. Hit the outro.